Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave. Does your shirt say small?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think it was on Sunday. I was letting the dog run around our backyard and I was just sitting there and I was just scrolling Instagram and the amount of these young kids like that are teeny telling people how to get huge. And I
Yeah.
said, if your shirt doesn't begin with a number, I'm not listening to you. And that whenever a lot of people say, like, what do you mean? And I was like, that's why I end up following that up with, here's what my shirt reads, 3XL.
Yep.
We are not the
Exactly.
same.
Exactly.
Fuck. If you're wearing a medium Gymshark, I need you to like just pipe down and listen. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of my favorite one is I mean, Bumstead partnered with Gymshark and they have that shirt that says "Don't be a skinny bitch."
right. Yeah.
My favorite thing is they make that in a small.
Yes. Yes.
Like, who's buying this?
I had a rule of thumb a long time ago, and I'm like, if your girlfriend or wife can put your shirt on and it's not looks like a trash bag, and that's listen, my wife has huge tits, so it should fit like a trash bag. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
like it's just the damn truth.
that's like my favorite thing. Lissa will wear my hoodies all the time,
Right, yeah,
and they go down to like her knees. We're the same height.
right, right, right.
Like,
Yes, yes. Oh, it it's it's a interesting world out there. Let's just to say the least. And I know you and I laugh at it because what the funny thing is, you and I both know what it's like to be small and skinny. Like we have been there, and to not be brutally strong and to not have the muscle that anyone would even blink at. And I know you and I took very similar approaches in the fact that like, hey, we have a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do and a lot of eating to do, and we're going
yeah,
to be quiet and listen and observe and absorb. Um, and I think both you and I are very intelligent individuals when it comes to training and nutrition, and probably even so mentally before our physiques reflected it. But there's you know, that saying, right? You have two ears and one mouth, and I think a lot of times that's being lost on the internet right now, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why. Um, yeah,
it's because there's no clapback.
right, yes,
I mean, like the old school days, like when I first got in the gym, like you got advice from someone at the gym.
Yes.
And if they didn't look
Right.
the part, you weren't even going to ask them for advice.
No.
There's no way in hell I'm going to go up to a 140-pound dude and be like, how do I get bigger? If
Yes.
I'm also a 140-pound dude, like
Right.
it never happens. And
No.
then we had like the bodybuilding forums, like the Skip Hills and like those ones.
Yes.
And you had to be vetted to be in that. Like if you were commenting, like they were like, like to be in that forum, like you had to post your pictures, the contest you won,
Yes.
and
No.
if you said something stupid and someone was like, "That's actually false," you would just get roasted to all end. So like
Right.
that it all ended right
Correct.
basically when someone said something stupid.
Yes.
Like if
Yeah.
you didn't have anything to back up your claims, you know, I mean, like look at Dante. Like he's like, all right, cool. This is what I'm saying, and it's a little bit obscure, but look at Dusty.
Right. Yes.
Look at you know
Justin Harris.
Justin Harris.
Yep.
Look
Yep.
at Steve Kuklo,
Right. Yep.
and like, oh, wild. It wasn't just those guys either. He was regularly taking people from light heavies and putting them in supers.
Yeah. I mean, Dugdale for years just kept getting better off of that until his body started breaking down. Um, and what's really funny is, anytime I post the Dante row of me doing it, I always get roasted by those super smart guys, right? Stupid exercise, doesn't feel great. Can't you just do a seated, like close grip pull down? And to one of them, I said, you need to do some research on DC training and who Dante Trudell is. You know what his response was? Just looked it up. Looks like a lot of stupid fluff. I was like, have a wonderful day, man. Wonderful day. Like fluff. Jesus fucking Christ. I'd love to see a guy like that do one rest pulse set on a leg press, like or shit, probably even a leg extension for Christ's sake, and just break him. Um, and be like, oh, you think you knew what training was? Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But, sadly, those guys I feel like are so egotistical that they feel like, hey, science is on my side. And as I think you and I've beaten into the damn ground, like science is always changing. You know, I shared that video the other day where it's yesterday, where that really smart guy was saying full length of range of motion is going to cause tons of inflammation, which leads to cancer. Well, which was it? Because you have other science people saying you have to use full range of motion. The other one says don't do it or you'll get cancer. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you actually get cancer from this.
I can't imagine doing a full depth squat is going to be the reason I develop cancer. If it is, like that's the life I chose.
That's wild.
Right, right. I guess you should stop getting babies to like squat all the way down to their hamstrings or on their calves.
My goodness, I wonder if how they did that study. They're like, we have this group of people who live underneath this electrical pole. They're all doing full range of motion shit. That they all got cancer for whatever reason.
Correct. Yeah, they lived on Chernobyl.
Yeah,
I don't understand all this radiation. Fuck. Yeah. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole again, but
yeah.
again, to everyone out there, like I just I know you probably think, oh well, like they think they know the right way. Listen, I for sure know what you and I did has worked.
Mhm.
You can't refute that. Um, we were once small, now we're not. Um,
Yeah,
could you argue we could have gotten here to where we are today faster? Yes, but you can argue that with anyone, by the way.
yeah.
You could take
Well,
someone who is super science based, who had great results, of like, hey, what if you lifted like the bros? Maybe would you cut that down? Like, so, yeah.
mhm. Well, I always think back to like the off season we had in 2020, 2021 area where I was waking up in the middle of the night and drinking a shake at 3 a.m.
Yep, yep,
And like my calories were close to like 8,000
yep,
on a training day.
yep,
And well, we did that for what, 3 months?
yeah,
And like the people are like, oh, you don't need to eat in a surplus.
yeah, yeah,
Like you only need 200 calories to get big.
right.
I did that for 3 months.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, and that was probably one of the hardest things I've done in bodybuilding,
yes.
like making sure, like actually eating all that food.
Oh, yeah,
And it's comical because like we obviously know I got better from that.
oh, yeah,
That I broke. But also, my training during that time
right.
was hilariously like awesome.
Yeah,
Like everything was just going up like wild.
yep,
So like food matched that too. So keep that in mind. But to even like think back and be like, man, if I did that eating just a slight surplus, where would I have been?
yeah, yeah. That's, I guess, because it was beaten into our heads at a young age. Eat big to get big. Train hard to get big. And those simple principles of what I will always view as bodybuilding are trying to be pushed to the back of the line. And that whole like main gaining or growing lean, the percentage of the population who can effectively do that is this big. Literally. And I would even argue like those guys who have the superior genetics, why haven't you tried the other way? Because I've always thought this. Let's say I got you super fat. I could still get all that shit off of you in 6 months tops, like the top end. I can't put on 10 pounds of stage weight on you in 6 months. I can't do it. I don't care how much fucking drugs we pushed. It just wouldn't happen. So to me, that's an easy equation. Fat comes off easy, muscle is slow to build. So let's give your body like this super saturated effect to where you just grow like a weed. And like where you're at now, you and I have a very good rhythm of just like we push your food, food, your digestion starts to get a little funny, we pull it back, and then we just ride that little seesaw of like it's a balancing act of how high can I get your food without fucking your digestion, and it's always here, 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 and then we may have to switch. So,
Mhm.
and I wish more could understand that, but as I said yesterday, like, it's cool to sit around and tell people how to get huge, but I've built freaks and continue to do it daily. So There's a fucking difference in principle versus application. And
Mhm.
I challenge those guys out there. Like they get all in their feelings when I say, show me the results. And they have a printout of a fucking PubMed study. Well, Chris, go look at this website. No, fuck you. Show me. Like, where have you gotten someone's legs over 30 inches? Your arms are 14, homie. I need you to pipe down.
Mhm.
All right. You want to get some questions?
Let's get the questions adequately warmed up now.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh, fuck. Okay. So we did a Q&A on our Instagrams, and here are the first 15. Um, what do you think the best Mountain Dog off-season training program is that you've done?
Yeah, that'd be probably the one you wrote. The I mean, just the staple. It was really simple. Just get fucking stronger every week.
Yep. Yep.
Nothing too crazy. I've always really liked I liked Taskmaster,
Mhm.
but my body didn't.
Yes.
Like mentally, I was like, this is gonna be great. My body's like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Uh,
And then I really enjoyed Colossus when we did that.
yes. Yep.
Like that one's always just fun. Um, and then what is that? Gamma Bomb, Gamma. Yeah,
Gamma.
that one's also a really fun program.
Agreed.
What really works well. But like I think for me, like that, training basically 5 days a week
Yep.
and hitting more weak points twice a week and strong points once
Yes. Yep.
is what I really just enjoy.
Yep. Agreed. So I do want to put this disclaimer out there. I know that John wrote some of these. Like if you look at like a Mega Beam, that isn't what he wrote is an off-season training program. Or if you look at something like Team Universe or Arnold Prep, like those are reviewed as like contest prep plans. And I think something that, you and I don't maybe necessarily talk a lot about, but we can take any training program and it doesn't matter what our nutrition looks like. Our simple goal is to go in there and build muscle, right?
Yeah,
We don't really change well, I don't, I know you don't. We don't change our training based upon prep or all season. Like
not one bit.
what dictates all season is calories and cardio. And then, obviously the same with prep. So I want to start there. I think any John Meadows program that I've done, which I've done all 39 of them, have all been productive programs in both contest prep settings and all season settings. Like it's just the truth. The first time I did Omega Beam, I was in a prep. The first time I did Team Universe, I was in the depth of an all season. Didn't matter. um, Training shouldn't change. If you're asking me which one I like the most for all season, I would say for most guys, I really like Omega Beam because I think it's the perfect amount of training days because you can do just 4 or up to 6. I would do 4, honestly. I've said this a bunch. I grew the first 2 years really well with John, and we never did more than 4 days of training in a week.
Mhm.
Now you have to fucking get after it on those 4 days, as you know, and then one of those days is an arm day. So like you have 3 what I would consider hard, brutal days that are gonna punch you in the face, and then you're gonna have one day where you go in there and get a huge, massive pump. And then I think a third one that I'll put out there is Creeping Death One.
Yeah, well, that's a fun one.
Yeah. Um, I love that program for many reasons. The first time John ever gave it to me, it was like him, Dave Tate, Doug Dell, and me were the only ones doing it. And I was like, I'm in an elite group of people. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Like, and I felt great because I feel like he trusted me with that before it released. And God, there's some hard sessions in there. Hard.
yeah, yeah. That one has some really hard sessions in it.
You remember those early like beginning of the weeks where it's like chest, shoulders, triceps, and back in
Yeah,
one day? Oh God, it's fucking brutal. I remember doing those and then you're like, how in the hell am I going to work after this?
yeah,
So yeah, I think those are great, but I think everyone just needs to remember that his training plans were designed to build muscle or maintain it. And which of those you fall into is depends upon what your nutrition is doing. So
yeah.
just a little caveat there. If you had to do one training split for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, the normal fucking bro split.
Yeah.
Back and shoulders. I mean, chest and shoulders, back, arms, legs.
Yes. Agreed. That's exactly what I was going to say.
However many times I can fit it in a week, what works for me.
Correct. And then you just stay on that rotation, right? Like, I think a lot of times people hear that and they're like, oh, you're only doing 4 days. Well, no. What if it's two on, one off? What if
Yeah,
we went back, chest, shoulders off, legs, arms off at 6 days? On your seventh day, you start back at back. Like, simple as that. So yes, that's what I would do. I love it. I feel like it's a good balance. And I enjoy it. And it's a good mix of like, in my mind, 2 hard days, rest. One hard day, one pump day, rest. And yeah, that's 100% what I do. So easy answer there.
yeah. Well, it's one of those things too. It's just like, if, it's what, like, well, if we did full body for say,
Yeah.
I'd be in the gym for fucking forever.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yeah.
got 3 hour gym sessions planned.
I don't know if I have like some like mild ADHD, but I couldn't focus for that long anymore. Like
Yeah,
I'm ready to go home and eat. I'm ready to move
yeah.
on. Okay.
I got an hour and a half tops.
Correct. I mean, and honestly, how locked in mentally can you be? Like I know when I was younger, we would train for a lot longer, but it was groups of like two or three of us, and there was talking involved.
Yeah,
Like, like it, there's yeah. If you're training, if it's you and I, man, we've done some crazy ass sessions together, and nothing has ever been over 90 minutes, start to
yeah,
finish. And most of those were filmed, so it's like it had intros and outros and fucking voiceovers and yeah, the behind the scenes of my
yeah.
fucking show.
Well, it's one of those things. It's just like, I mean, like Dorian talked about that. Like, come train with me. If it doesn't look like a lot on paper, it doesn't matter. Because that's like my favorite thing is like so many times like you look on the paper and you're like, there's really not too much here. But that's never like how complicated something is on paper does not mean anything to how you do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
I've seen some really complicated, blueprints and it's just, like two fucking walls.
Yes. Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's not complicated.
You know, if you take something like, let's say, a chest shoulder day, and I said we're going to do slight incline dumbbell, barbell, incline barbell, we're going to do a fly of your choice, a rear lateral, and a side lateral. 5 things on paper. Someone could do that and tell me that's cake, and then you could do it and be like, Chris, I was fucked up.
Yeah,
And it it's you know it's very similar to like probably a painting analogy. I could give you the same brushes and paint as say Bob Ross, and your outcomes are going to be drastically different.
yeah,
So yeah, it's when I look at exercise, I think that's something that a lot of people don't do well is when I look at it, I think, how can I make this as hard as possible?
yeah,
This isn't powerlifting where you're trying to get better and more efficient at something. I need to make this as miserable on that target muscle as humanly possible. And that's how I always viewed John's programs. Like when he wrote things in there that were specifically designed to bring pain, I'm like, fuck yeah.
yeah,
Let's see how awful we can make this.
yeah.
And
Super true.
it kind of leads into the next question, right?
That
Of
is one of the biggest things for progressing at any point. What you just said was making things more difficult. Because like I was actually with a client. She's getting back into the gym. She actually tore her glute, so we're doing some just like PT exercises to make sure she can actually use her glute properly.
right, yeah.
And these dudes were leg pressing at the gym, and they had a fuck ton of weight on there. Like it was loaded. They were getting like sets of 8 to 10.
Yeah.
But she looked at me and she's like, "Why are they pausing on every set, every rep?" And I was like, "Oh, it makes it easier." She's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I think about it. If you go up and down, but you never pause at the top, where's the your muscles on the whole time versus like when you're just locked out at the top, it's just on your bones."
Right.
And she's like, Why aren't they doing it the right way?"
So that's
And
a
I was just
weight loss.
like, I was just like, "Fuck yeah!" Like you know what I mean? It's just like it's a simple concept. What like your job in the gym is to get better. It's not always just move more weight. So like yeah, if you don't pause at the top, maybe you're taking off a couple plates per side, but the pump and pain in your quads is way more.
And I've always thought this, like so many people view that as like, oh man, like the technique he made me do, I had to reduce the load by fill in the blank percent or weight, right? I'm like, yeah, but What if we scale that back? Your form is better, the set is harder, and then you eventually get back to where you were doing with shitty form or less painful, right? Like, and like, oh man, I've never considered like you just reset your progression and now you can chase that number again, but with in better form. Better form, same weight. Guess what that means? More muscle. So, fun fact there. All right, so what we just talked about kind of led into this next one. It would be nice, Chris, if you could talk about John, how you met him and how was training at Elite FTS. All right, cool. I'm gonna try to keep my shit together here. It what I just said about the John Meadows training program, the first one I ever bought from him, I don't know why, but when I got it, I remember looking at it and reviewing it, and I sent it to my training partner, and I was like, okay, hey, this is what we're doing start Monday. And the funny thing is, when I was going through that initial program after the first 3, 4, 5 weeks, I was like, I need to ratchet up this intensity. And I remember Ryan looking at me like, why do you say that? And I said, if there's ever a chance I get to go do one of these workouts with him, I want to be ready and prepared. And that was kind of my thought process all from day one with him. Like, I don't know why I felt a sense of pressure, and that's positive pressure to really maximize these training programs because at the time he was unknown. Like the people on the inside of like cult bodybuilding knew, but he wasn't popular like everyone, knew him the last decade of his life. And so I guess to answer your question there, how did we meet? We met at S4 Elite FTS, and it was a leg day. If you want to know how we met online, he was writing a bunch of articles on T Nation, and he was posting like some of the workouts him and Dave Tate were doing at Elite, and I saw those, and they looked so different than what my buddies and I had been doing, and I was like, that looks fun, like let's try it. And there's one he posted where you finished shoulder day with 100 rope slams, like those battling ropes and it fucked me up so aggressively because my rear delts. So you train chest and shoulders all out, and then you go do 100 battling rope slams at the end.
Yeah.
And I don't know why when I read that, I was like, this looks amazing. Like, and I looked at Ryan and I was like, you want to try this? This looks fucking awful. And he's like, yeah. So we did it. Huge pump. The thing at the end was a crazy cool challenge. And then like the next day he released a leg day that him and Dave had done. We did that on Thursday, and it was like, man, I really enjoy these workouts and they're different. But at the same time, like it still had a lot of the principles that I liked, which was heavy dumbbell barbell pressing. He still had a squat and deadlift. And I was like, those are all things that I leaned into when I was in my 20s. And I reached out to him and he sent me a link to sign up for 12 weeks of training. I'm not going to tell you guys how much it was. It was very expensive. um, so that's why when people complain about the price of our programs now, I always laugh. And like, if you knew I paid $650 for 12 weeks of programming from him, you would definitely want to go jump off a bridge. Um, and then from there, man, like we just developed a really cool relationship. I'd send him over like either pictures or videos of me doing the sets and the progress I was making. And it led to me going to train with him and Dave at S4, which was so surreal because I'd seen so many videos. And like when you walk into that place and it's just like you feel the energy of the environment. And it was in a neighborhood surrounded by a chain link barbed wire fence, and you could you just walk in again. You could just sense the energy in that building, and it was no AC. It was the middle of July. It was a wonderful experience. We trained legs for 3 hours in a group of 5 people, um, and it was an absolute blast, start to finish. What else did it say? That all the times that I trained at Elite FTS. So S4 is I'm like really nostalgic. It's amazing. It's incredible. You've been to the new one with me,
Mhm.
for Swiss. That's a cool place too. And it had, listen, the day you and I were in there, it was a ton of energy in that room too. Um, it's just a little bit different because it's really nice, right? Like everything,
Yeah.
it's not, and I'm not saying nice. It's like I want you guys to envision like S4 is like it was just a box and it was a dirty gym. Not like nasty dirty, but it was a bare bones metal building that's different. And to me, like I don't know how you feel about things like that. Like I like the little rough around the edges shit. Like
Yeah,
I like that there's dust on the cardio equipment because no one's used it. Like
yeah,
I love that everything's packed together because they want so many pieces in there to all make it, be able to train hard, but at the same time, it's like, oh, it's not really space efficient. So yeah, man, like again, I've had an opportunity to have a lot of sessions with him at both the elites, and some are on video, some aren't. And I mean, my time with him in American Barbell was fun. Like anytime we trained at Lifetime was fun. I mean, the coolest thing about those environments to me is like it was just you go in there and you forget the outside world. And what I always thought about is give your absolute best at all times,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
and then shut the fuck up and learn. Like there's so many things that that man was teaching when he wasn't talking and I was just watching that can't be replicated, because he was a master of training. Um, and I believe that in my heart. Um, I've never seen someone with that intellect, but then also had the ability to put it into the muscle and then had such a developed physique that you could watch it work in harmony. So yeah, that's a brief rundown on how I met John and a little bit about the training we had together. What did you think of the new S5 when we went there?
Oh, it was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I mean, it's hard to put words on like what that feels like when you walk in there and there's a lot of people with like similar goals, like whether it be, get better is a similar goal, right? And you walk in and like there's not a single mirror, there's no phones out, everybody's working their face off.
Right. Yes.
Like
Yes.
that's so hard to beat.
Agreed. Agreed. And I mean, it's what's funny because I'd been there before, and like I told you, I'm like, listen, it's behind a church. It's gonna you're gonna be like, where in the fuck are you taking me? Um, and then you park, and then it's like as soon as you walk in, like, one of his staff greeted us. They're like, oh, Chris and Dave, right? Your bags are over there. Goodie bag loaded with tons of shit. And they're like, all right, it's a playground. Have fun. Um,
Yeah.
and then, we trained our face off, chest and shoulders that day. And then I took you to the airport and you flew home. Um,
Yep.
so again, another cool story to me in the same building that the first time I was ever in there was with John. And I think what's really cool about the first time I was in the new building was that day we trained legs the first time I was in there, and it was no music. It was just Noah, him and I, and then we were just cranking, and then a couple of the staff of Elite came out and we're like, what the fuck's going on out here? Like, it sounds like y'all are someone's dying. And I'm like, oh no, that's me. Um, so it was cool. Like I'd never had someone like crowd around and watch us train, and that was pretty fun.
Mhm.
And again, like all of my memories with John are fond. I don't have one bad recollection of anything, and we've spent a lot of time together. So if that speaks a little bit about how I view him as a person and mentor, friend. So yeah. Let's see. What would you change in the bodybuilding world if you had the ability to?
The oh man. Honestly,
Yeah.
I would get rid of a lot of the pro cards they give out.
I thought you were going to say men's physique.
Yeah, I kept it out of that one. I was thinking that. I was like, that was one of the first ones. That was like, just bring it back to bodybuilding only.
Yeah, right. Yes, yes.
But
Yeah.
we're
Complete-
long past that now.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
But I don't. I still. It's one of those ones. It's just like I think that would make it so much better.
Yes. Yeah. It it would bring some a little bit more validity to it, I think. Um, it would force people to take their time and do it the right way.
Yeah.
It would become much more of an elite status symbol like it once was when I got into bodybuilding to start. What would I change? What's really interesting, right? This is going to sound like a kumbaya thing, but the absolute hatred of people that are on opposing sides of the fence, right? I really wish people would just have a more opened mind to be like, hey, there's multiple ways to grow muscle and put it on.
Oh yeah, agreed.
And the biggest thing that I think a lot of these people are missing, right? let's say, Dave, I told you like I know for a fact leaving 3 reps in the tank on every exercise is the best way to put on muscle. But it was only going to give you 1 to 2% faster rate of return. Or you can train your way, still grow, and it may be a little less optimal. But because I know you and that what brings you back in the gym every week, you're able to do that with ease. And when I say with ease, like with a smile on your face, looking forward to it for 2 decades. And that's why you're able to gain muscle, right? I think a lot of times these people are in such search for what is truly optimal and they aren't having fun in the gym anymore
Yeah.
and they're losing progress because they quit. They need time off because they don't love it and enjoy it. Like I really wish some people could be inside of our brain and body of what it's like to go train, right? Like we wake up every fucking day and it's like, oh man, I cannot wait to go do back today. Like I cannot wait to do it. And you get in there and even let's say it is 1 to 3, maybe even 8 to 10% less effective me being able to do that for 2 decades with a smile on my face, I guarantee will bring more long-term progress when you think of it at a macro level when you zoom out, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. When I was once young, I thought I had all the answers. I thought that I knew what the best way was, and I wanted to tell everyone. But the difference is I didn't really have a platform to do that unless you worked with me one-on-one. Where now the internet gives you an unlimited resource of views if you have the right marketing and you're, you know, lean enough, people will listen. So I would really wish like everyone would just say, hey, you do it your way, I'll do it mine, and let's have a blast together. And if you
Yeah.
want to do 2 reps and I want to do 20, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to do progressive overload and I want to chase a pump, have at it, homie. Um, yeah. And to also know that like things don't have to be mutually exclusive, like
Oh yeah.
I can
Yeah.
do
You can mix everything together.
right. Just because you do, say, a training block of 12 weeks of progressive overload, and you follow it up with 16 weeks of pump work, and then you go back to progressive overload, it's okay. You don't, just because you love progressive overload doesn't mean you need to die on that hill and tear all your body parts off the bone. Like you can cycle it a little bit. So yeah, just I think that's it, man. Like just having an open mind, I think would be, and I think that comes with age. So.
Yeah.
What do you guys recommend for a good bikini split?
Depends on how developed your shoulders are.
Yeah, agree.
Um, Usually I'll leave I'll leave a back day in because almost all of them that's their favorite day, even though they don't tell you that they love back day.
Yeah.
Um, we'll have glutes one, glutes two, and then an upper day. That could be a really basic split there.
Yep.
And you're just hitting glutes in two different ways. Like it one day might be, based on a hip thrust, and the other one's going to be based on an RDL.
Yep.
You know,
Mine's very similar. I usually have 2 upper body days in there. One that I don't train arms or chest on any bikini girl, by the way.
oh yeah, not a good idea.
So day one of upper body will be more back and then a little bit of shoulders, and the other day will be a little bit of back and a lot of shoulders. Now obviously if you have a developed back or blown out shoulders, that will change. And then I'm a big believer and I do 3 lower body days for the most part. If you can recover from it. I like 2 glute only days. So one where it's like heavy progressive overload, you're trying to move weight, it's minimal exercises, like another glute pump day where we might do 12 exercises. They're all supersetted, and I'm just trying to do higher rep range and get a huge pump in your glutes, keep them full, but minimize soreness. And then I like a middle of the road in the middle of the week overall leg day. Now, be very leery. If you're a lady out there who has really developed quads or hamstrings, don't lean into that. You're going to get all the quad and hamstring you need on a glute day. So I'd put it at a third glute day in the middle if that's you. But if you're in the middle or lower end of development, I really like to have like a very standard John Meadows type leg day, right? Leg curl. We may do adductor or abduction, depending upon your physique. Then we do a squat, then we do a leg press, and then I'll have you finish with, either an RDL or like a single leg, either walking lunge, Bulgarian split squat, something like that. So all around type leg day in the middle of that week. That's what I like for most girls. I've had some bikini girls who were really lacking in the glutes, and we've trained glutes 5 days. Um, so it's like glutes, shoulders and glutes, glutes, back and glutes, leg day. That's not that's very, very specific to an individual, right? Like, and that
Mm.
has to be intelligently programmed, by the way.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't just send all of it every day.
No, no. So I said that only because to know that I've done that with women. I've had good result, but your nutrition has to be on point, your feedback to your body, and we have to work very closely. But as a whole, 2 upper days, 3 lower days, that's what I like. If you can recover from it. If not, I do 2 upper, 2 lower, call it a week. Simple as that.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. How to structure the self-talk portion to build the character to withstand challenges to win. So how to
Do
structure,
hard shit.
say that again.
Do hard shit.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Learn how not to cheat on your diet for 12 weeks. You do that by doing it.
You know, self-talk can be interesting because there are some days where I feel like I'm indestructible and can run through a wall, both mentally and physically. And there are other days where I have doubts. And I can tell you this, I always just lean into doing the action items that I need to. And I just take a deep breath and allow that moment of, say, negative self-talk to pass, because it will. You know, we
Yeah.
all have things that may frustrate us about life or work or your physique or, your progress or lack thereof. But the worst thing you can do is just sit around and stress about how shitty things are going. Like to me, I'm very action driven. Okay, cool. Wake up and do cardio. Done. Eat meal one. Do my client work. Eat meal two. Go train. Eat meal three. Client work. Client work. Coach baseball. Eat a meal. Do more client work. Eat a meal. Go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm doing all of that, I don't have a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to like, if your mind is that idle, like you don't have stuff to do, then you need to make it be busy. Like I, I think there's a lot of power in that. What do you do, Dave, if you wake up one day and you're like, fuck, man, I'm 12 weeks out and I'm not where I want to be? Like, if that goes through your mind, how do you reframe that, or what do you do to get out of it?
The well, nice thing is I obviously have you. And then second thing is if I'm not where I want to be when it comes to a show and I'm
Oh, you just froze.
am I here?
No, you're back now. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so what matters is not what I do what I look like today, but what matters is what I look like in when I'm on stage. So that one is a level of trust, right?
Yep.
And then second thing is I'm gonna know damn well all of my action items I've been given, my cardio, my diet. Like those aren't a percentage. They were a yes or a no.
Yes, correct.
You know, like I none of this. Oh, I was 90%. It was like this means nothing to me. It was like you either did it, you did not do it. And if you did not do it and you feel bad about yourself, we know why.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And then if you did do it and you're like, I don't like where I am, is it changing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So if everything's in line and you're not making progress, something needs to change. Right. It's a pretty easy concept, but nothing needs to change if if your diet's 85% and your cardio compliance is, 4 out of 5
Right.
and you don't like where you're at, it's like, well, fucking fix that.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, our answers almost mirrored themselves. Um, and like you said to start, if you want a brain that is battle tested, you have to go through war, right? Like you have to endure hard shit in life, in bodybuilding. Like to me at least, it's easier to replicate a hard set of hack squats if I've done it 175 times than the first time.
Mhm.
And the only way you break that barrier the first time is you put the weight on there that you need and you just say, I'm not coming up until I'm buried in the hole.
Yep.
And then once you do it, you're like, man, that was wild. Cool. Can I do it again next week?
Hmm.
And
And
then can
what
I
can I
do
do
it?
better?
Right. If that was 11 and a half reps this time, I want to go 12 reps. And when I go down to get my 13th, I want to struggle against that weight before I fail longer than I did at 12 and a half. Right.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to put a quarter on there. Well, you and I don't do quarters on a hack squat, but I'm going to put another plate on there and I'm going to get at least eight.
Yeah.
And it's that compounding interest thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. Repeatedly exposing your body and mind to that stress and overcoming it and being like, man, that was horrible in the moment, but I did it. It's kind of like an ice bath, right?
Yeah.
The first 2 minutes of an ice bath is horrible. Horrible. Everything in your brain says, get the fuck out of here. You're miserable. This hurts. I can't take 1 second longer. And then around the 2 minute, 2:15, 1:45 mark, everything goes numb and you're just chilling. Your heart rate's normal. And it's like, huh, all right, cool. I can withstand hard shit.
Yeah.
And then next week, as soon as you put your feet in there, it's equally as miserable. It's like hit cardio. Every time I do it, I'm always like, God, this never gets easier. And I'm like, exactly. If it was easy, it wouldn't be hit cardio.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how you do it. Resiliency is only built through being relentless in my mind. Like
Yep.
simple as that. Um, Thoughts on keto diet for building muscle?
In an off season?
I would assume so.
Fuck.
Good luck.
Like, all right. So, I mean, like, we all know what training is. That's explosive movement, right? So you're telling your body we need to do explosive movement without giving it the proper fuel for.
Right.
So your training's going to suck,
Oh, agreed. And
which is
pump.
going to mean your metabolic rate's not going to be as high as it could be.
Right. Yes.
And you're also not going to be able to train as hard as you. That is also a really fun concept because your body's only going to adapt to what it been exposed to things it can't do, right?
Yes. Agreed.
You go into the gym and failing because you ran out of gas isn't a reason for your body to be like, yo, we need to update this because you didn't run out of muscle,
No. No.
you know? You ran out of gas.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we need more energy nutrients, which
Yeah.
which is what? Oh, carbohydrates. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean like you could try it. You're gonna learn really fucking fast, it won't work.
To me, like here's the flaw in that. And I'm assuming you're gonna do bodybuilding keto. So you're not doing 30% of your macros from protein and 70 from fat. You're gonna reach a ceiling on fat to where your digestion gets the speed of a turtle and you can't eat any more food, right? Where you and I both know I could probably take your carbs to 1,500 a day if your protein and fat were low enough, and you would burn through that lightning fast if I choose the right sources, like if
Yeah.
you use readily like fast adjusting carbohydrates, half of your carbs in a meal would probably come from like apple juice, orange juice, things like that, like
Yeah.
to get that many carbs in a day. But that's the problem with keto. All the things that you said, like your training gym performance is going to be hot garbage compared to a peri-workout window that is loaded with carbohydrates, and it's more of a mixed source of like some protein, some fat, and then a lot of carbs. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of it. I've yet to see someone be keto and be round and full and bubbly ever. I've seen them be hard and flat, but never full. And if your goal is building muscle tissue and rounding out the physique, I don't understand why you wouldn't want a balanced type nutrition plan.
Yeah. Actually, funny story. I just picked up a kid. He competed, and his coach had him doing keto up to the show for fat loss. And it's actually really funny because I took over his rebound.
Yeah.
I was like, we're swapping that right back over. And it's actually funny because like the first week of it, he's like, how am I leaner than on my stage day? If anything, I'm just going to expect you to continue to get a little bit leaner.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
His body's just like burning through shit.
Yes. You know, I think I've been really fortunate in my life. I've never been scared of carbohydrates. When I was an athlete, it was beaten into my head, Chris, you need a shitload of carbs to perform well at your game in practice. And in my mind, when I switched to bodybuilding, I thought the same shit. I need a lot of carbs for my workouts to be good. And if I want to build muscle, my workouts have to be good. So I've never had a fear of carbs ever. Um, I,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not sitting around eating fruit roll-ups and candy to get those carbohydrates in, but
Yeah.
um, when
Well, honestly, I think with bodybuilding, like the secret to doing well is not being scared of either way.
yeah, right, yes,
Because like I can't tell you how many guys are like, oh man, I've only had 100 grams of carbs today. How am I going to do these squats? It's like,
right.
fuck you, dude. Like you're going to do those squats. You had, your 50 grams of carbs pre-workout, your 25 grams of carbs intra-workout, and you got 25 carbs waiting for you at home. Like, fucking burn through them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I wonder,
that 400 calories needs to go straight into this workout.
correct. I will say this before we move on to the next question. The freakiest photos I've ever taken in my entire life were by you in the bottom of Pro's gym. I had 75 grams of carbs for 6 days straight.
Yeah.
You would look at those photos and not fucking have a clue.
Yeah.
Like, he's on all the fucking insulin and carbs and that. Nope. Zero fucks given. Now, I went home and I pounded carbs that night and the whole next day. But in those photos and that's moment of time, yeah. So, yeah, I think as you, God, that was very well said. You cannot be scared of either extreme ends. But when we're speaking muscle building with this specific question, you have to have carbohydrates, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Could you build it keto? Maybe. It's just not, it's by no means the most effective or efficient. Um,
Yeah.
Now this next question came from the same guy, so I'm sure I can see the thought process here. Um, Using vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower over rice for my carbs.
I mean, we can all play this experiment. I know what happened. There, go eat a 50 grams worth of carbs from broccoli
Oh, fuck.
and
Yeah,
tell me how you feel, and then go train with that. Versus go eat 50 grams of carbs from like bowl of gains,
right. Yeah, or just rice, like he said in the
or
example.
rice, you know, and tell me how you feel.
I
And
don't.
which one, I personally do not want to go, get under a hack squat and like have that. I need to shit, or my stomach is full of broccoli on my mind. I don't want that anywhere near me. I laugh all the time when I see people their pre-workout meal has vegetables in it. I'm
Same.
like, I instantly know. It's like you've never thrown up during your workout, have you?
Not once. You know, I don't. So 50 grams of carbs from rice is 200 grams of cooked rice, right?
Yeah,
Roughly. I don't know how many 50 grams of carbs from broccoli is. I would assume it's at least 3 heads of broccoli. I would have to believe. I don't know what it is, but I'll have to believe it's somewhere around there.
I
Good
need to
luck.
Google this. I need to Google
Yeah,
this.
please do. As you're doing that, I want you to think about this. Like, I would hate to be your girlfriend or family members or your roommates. You will smell so horrible with the gas. What you also have to remember is that much broccoli or cauliflower and how much fiber is in it is going to slow that digestion rate down to like a snail's pace. So with the first question that he had with the keto diet, like it's going to be really hard for you to put on lean muscle tissue because everything you're eating is so slow digesting. So it's going to sit in your stomach like a damn rock. So
Yeah.
my vote is hard no. You don't eat any vegetables. I'm actually trying this prep this time with no vegetables as well. And so far, so good. I've done zero.
So 50 grams of broccoli is 4 grams of carbs.
Oh, wow.
So 100 grams of broccoli is eight. So 50, let's round that up to 10. 100 grams of carbs. I mean, 10 grams of carbs for 100 grams of broccoli, right? So 500 grams of broccoli is roughly, we'll call it roughly. It's kind of like, it's close to 40,
Right.
40, 50 grams of carbs. And 500 grams is also something that you guys, that's fucking crazy. That's almost a half a kilo.
Yeah.
So
The
that's almost that's like 1 pound.
Yeah, that's a mixing bowl of broccoli. And for reference, if on a plate, rice for 200 grams is like that thick, maybe that wide.
Yeah,
It's not very much.
an entire pound of broccoli.
Yeah. I've had you eat 400 grams of carbs from rice in one meal, and it wasn't that much volume.
No, I'm just that actually sounds terrible. Like
Yes. Oh yeah. Agreed.
the
So
amount of mouth fatigue you're gonna get from that.
fuck. I would not want to be your bathroom. Get baby wipes. Invest in dude wipes.
Yeah,
Or a bidet. Don't get white underwear.
yeah, it's gonna be coming out green.
Right. Yes. All right. So I'm sorry, man, for both those questions. That's a hard no for both Dave and I on keto for muscle building and broccoli or cauliflower to replace regular rice. So, overview of workout programs for sale. So I actually wrote a really cool chart that if you go to mountaindogdiet.com, if you click on the training tab, it has a comparison chart. That is the best overview you're going to get. It's got training days per week, a rough little like blurb about it, the split, frequency, who it's made for, and then what body parts it's meant to bring up. That's the best place to do that. So that's a quick hitter answer. There's no way I could talk through 39 training program overview. That would be boring. And yeah, if you're a part of our Facebook group, at the very top pinned post, I have a paragraph or two about every single training program if you're interested. So two places to look there. Let's see. Best bulk duration for someone who is 2+ years serious about training and is 14% body fat.
Oh, well, the that's a good question. It depends on how much muscle you have as well. That's the missing part of this equation. We need to solve for X.
Yes. Yeah.
The like that's a really hard statement. Like, if you're 240, 14% body fat, like okay, like that body fat is gonna come off really fucking fast.
Right. Yeah.
You're 118 pounds, 14% body fat. The answer is more muscle.
Correct. Yes.
You know,
Agreed.
that's always going to be the answer because you're going to change. Like that's because you're basically for your height. You're going to be under muscled. So adding muscle is going to lower your body fat percentage if you don't gain any.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Here's what I would say as a general rule of thumb. I always like for guys that are 2+ years, let's say you're in the 2 to 5 year range of training, seriously, that's still not much time. Like that's very low on the end of the spectrum for what I would consider to get substantially big enough to where people would notice.
Yeah. I always like to phrase that too. Is like if you've been training for you trained once a week for legs, you train for 2 years. I mean, you've trained legs roughly 100 times.
Correct. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's a low barrier of entry in my mind. Yeah. I mean, that's a great reference point. You know, as long as you can keep your body fat below 15, 1 to 2 years of an off season before I think about trying to peel fat off.
Yeah.
Um, to be brutally honest with you, but I wouldn't also be scared to train three. If progress is coming and my body fat isn't going up and my appetite's still pretty good, man, I'd push that for 3 years. If I'm in a groove, I would not turn that switch off.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and then it also depends too. Like if your digestion and appetite are really not great,
right.
fucking just pull your body fat down.
Correct.
Go the opposite way. Take that from 14 to 8, 9,
Yep.
rinse and repeat.
Yes. Yep. And I think you and I, in like hindsight, or now that we're coaching, can say that really easily. And I think a lot of people get scared out there, like, oh God, like my digestion's a little slow. Like, hey, don't throw like the progress you're making because your digestion gets a little slow for a few days. Like, not it isn't immediately time to like cut again, which I think that's where a lot of guys go wrong is they do these mini cuts too frequently.
Yeah.
We're scared to push food aggressively. And again, I do challenge everyone to be really intuitive. That's why, like, honestly, I know it's like a plug for us, but This is why coaching is so important. It removes that stress, and there's no question. Like, if you get too fat, I'm going to tell you I'm going to pull your food. If you're growing a good clip, we're going to keep it. If we're growing too slow, I need to do something to bump that shit up. So,
Yeah, it is what it is.
correct. And you don't have that, or most people don't have that when they're that inexperienced with train the training world. So that's why you hire a coach. It's just the truth.
Yeah,
Um, is an open pro level physique obtainable without high GH use? Now, he also says on here, example, more than 5 IUs a day. No, sorry, more than 4 IUs a day. So I want to say this, like, I don't think 4 to 5 IUs of growth is high growth hormone use. Like, maybe I'm jaded a touch.
yeah,
I would say high HGH use is above 10. Would you
yeah,
agree, or like what are your thoughts there?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The I would say like 6 to 8 is like
Standard.
standard for open, you
Yeah,
know,
agreed.
and like in full reality, like if you got 4 IUs of growth hormone is like negligible.
Yes.
Like you're getting something out of it, but you're also getting just something. You know, like if you're gonna, one thing my dad taught me when I was a kid is like if you're gonna do something, do it the fucking right way. Like you either get on a horse or you don't get on a horse.
Yes.
You know, that one drives me up a wall of the people like I get it. Things are there's right ways and wrong ways to do things,
Mhm.
right? But if you're gonna do something like half-assing it, like, oh, I'm gonna do steroids. All right, cool. I'm gonna do 250 milligrams of test a week. It's like, do people get prescribed that for TRT all the fucking time?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that's a terrible, like, I'm not saying that's a terrible place to start, but like, if you're gonna do steroids, like, why don't you fucking do them?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying to be absolutely reckless. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Boston Lloyd. Like, I don't think anybody needs, more than 4 grams a week. That's obscene.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's definitely like dosages where things we all know this. Like, go back to any other drug. Like, all right, caffeine. Like, if I wanted to wake up in the morning, am I going to drink a quarter cup of coffee for my 25 milligrams of caffeine in the morning?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or am I going to drink the whole fucking cup?
Right. Yeah.
You know? And then we know there's diminishing results. Like, if I'm not going to drink 4 fucking Ghost Energies a day,
Right. Yes. Yeah.
800 milligrams of caffeine a day, all you're getting now is side effects,
Right. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We know the sweet spot for caffeine is 300 to 400 milligrams a day,
Right. Yes.
right? It's not, oh, I need to dabble in this. I can only have 50, but it's also not like I need to drink a Ghost Energy with every fucking meal.
Yeah. You know, I this is how I feel when a guy asks me, he's like, Chris, like, I'm thinking I want to go steroids. I'm gonna do 25 mgs of Anavar. And I'm like, cool, you just did what most bikini chicks do. Like, stop it. Like, I feel very similar on that regard when I'm like speaking about Anavar. I'm like, if you're at least gonna do it, I'd do Anadrol for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Um, but listen, there's been plenty of guys turn pro with no growth hormone at all because they couldn't afford it or didn't have access to it. So is it obtainable? For some, yes, without a
yeah,
doubt. I've seen it.
same.
I've seen it. And then they add growth in, and you're like, oh fuck, like that's wild. Um,
Yeah, like take a gander at Phil Heath.
Right. Yes. Perfect example. He talked about it openly. Right.
Yeah, people were just like they just laugh at him. There's like, oh, there's no way you did that using, testing NPP into a national show. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Right. Right.
take a gander at the best genetics in the world and like realize what his diet was 100% on point.
Yeah. 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 So yes, is it obtainable 100%? Most guys to be open will need growth hormone, and it's going to be north of 4. Um, as you said, 4 to probably 6 to 10 range is, I would say, normal. Anything above 10, you either have deep pockets or you're using generics, and generic numbers aren't the same as pharmaceutical numbers. You have to take more generic to get the same result, if you're even going to mirror that result in the first place. So, some growth hormone education there. All right, let's do one more as we're coming up on an hour, and then we'll save the last few for next time because the last three are good too.
Yeah.
Um, When coming back to training after a week deload, what percentage or reps do you return to?
No fucking idea. I'm just gonna pick something up, and I'm gonna be like, all right, cool. I've gotten 8+ with this before. Let's beat that.
All right, so let's give an exact example. Okay, so incline, slight incline dumbbell press, you've posted a ton of times on the internet.
Yeah,
Let's say we're cruising, you're hammering a blast. Your last week's you got 180 for 8.5 reps. And then Monday you're like, Chris, like I need an off week. We take an off week and you come back to slight incline dumbbell press. What is going to determine how heavy you go on day one? Talk me through it.
well, I'm gonna warm up basically as if I'm gonna do the 180s again,
Correct. Yes.
and then I'm gonna see what at the when I pick up the hundreds, I'm gonna know how things feel.
Right.
Those if those are heavy, the 180s are just not happening.
Yes.
If
Yep.
those don't feel like if they feel like they're made out of balloons, like all right, cool, we'll fucking send it.
Right. Yes. It's just by feel, man. And that could be exercise to exercise, honestly. Like
Oh yeah,
I, we all have a good sense of what our warm-ups weight's going to be, our feel set's going to be. It's those last 1 to 2 feel sets that dictate your top set or
yeah,
how much you work up to, however you view that, right? Like, and it's like you said, when I pick up the hundreds on an incline dumbbell press, I know that minute what 130s, 140s, 150s will feel like. And then I just take an educated guess.
yeah.
Sometimes
Well,
you sit back with that top end and you're like, I got fucked. That was heavy. Other times
yeah,
you're like, that was easier than I thought it was going to be.
yeah. But either case, you're gonna sit back with it and you're gonna take it till you can't do any more reps.
Correct. Yes.
I am never gonna feel bad if I was like, hey, maybe the 180s aren't smart. I'll stick with the 150s today.
Yeah.
And I get north of 13. I'm like, that's a good day.
You're right. Yes. Yeah. I had that happen to me last week on T-bar rows. 3 felt super light. So instead of going 3 1/4 like I was planning on initially, I looked at Chad. I was like, 4. I got 6 reps. Guess what I did? I pulled one of the plates off and kept going.
Yeah,
It's as simple as that. I overshot what I wanted. I was hoping to get 8 or 9 with 4 plates, and I missed. So guess what? I just pulled a plate and kept going to finish the set. Simple as that.
yeah,
The flip side, as you said, there's been plenty of times where I underestimated my strength, and instead of doing 8 to 10, I did 15 to 20. Still,
yeah,
like, yeah. I mean, there's multiple. I think the last leg day Chaz and I got on film, I hadn't hack squatted in a while. So for the top set, and it was last, I worked up to 5 plates. Man, I did way too many reps. Like I should have put 6 on, but by the time I was at 12, I was like, send it, go.
yeah. Yeah, there's no point backing off there and doing
No reason
two
to turn
mediocre
around.
sets because you spent half your gas doing half the set.
Correct. Just go. And then I knew next week, oh, when it's time to hack swap, we're gonna put 6 plates back on the hack. Not a big deal. So yeah, go by feel, listen to the body, and don't be scared. Like, listen, there's been multiple times I'm sure where you and I both have just done an extra set. Like,
Yeah,
hey, that was easy. Let's go again. So
super true.
until next time, Chris, Dave, the lasting advice here, listen to your body. It always tells the truth. All right, next week we have 3 more questions, and they're really good. So I'm excited for those. So until next time, we're done.